Into that, we are not, the academic calendar globally is not going to change because we are having insecurity, and therefore children who have not been contributors to insecurity cannot be made to suffer. Gentlemen,
how many times would they tell you before you know that Nigeria is not for you? Ah! Now they never leave you. They have left you behind. Photo, not be juju be that. Sorry oh. May God not allow them, may them kill you.
He made so many valid points. But he's just talking to the world. People who didn't care about the children who were displaced 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, even as recent as 2 years ago, whose lives have been altered, their entire life trajectory have been altered by this terrorism. They have been relocated from their, and they didn't like go back to school. They ended up in refugee camps. So government that didn't care about that, government that pretended that they didn't know the reason why they have so many out-of-school children. Government that pretended that thousands of schools have not been either burnt or completely shut down in northern part of Nigeria. So if you are talking to them about the consequences of all of this, you think they don't know? And you think they care? They don't. That's the problem. This is how you begin to kind of review the problem and be like, the problem you got deep with Jubashen Rulosha. You can live in your relatively peaceful south that's currently being threatened. But you also need to have an idea of the ruins that these terrorists have actually caused in northern Nigeria. Not like lives have been uprooted abruptly and moved elsewhere with no provision, no anything for them. And they are also living in Nigeria. They are existing. They will need to survive. 22 million out of school children. That's more than the population of so many countries. You know that. And that's the number you toy with. And that's how sometimes when you ask yourself, how did we get here? How did we get here? The supposed Katsina governor, I believe, had this to say.
Logistics networks. What assurances can you provide to agribusiness investors concerning their security fears?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum. Honestly, you have raised a very fundamental question. When it comes to investment, there must be security. And as you are rightly aware, that Katsina State, when we took over, about 24 of our local governments are under siege by this insurgency and what have you. But first of all, we understand the fact that you cannot address the insecurity without involving the community. So local approach to the insecurity is one of the major factors that we have considered as government to tackle the insecurity challenges in our state. We created what we call in the first 5 months of our administration, Katsina State Community Watch Corps. As I speak to you today, we have graduated the first, second, and third batch with over 2,500 young able men that were trained, equipped with all assets. It makes it easier for them to address the challenges. And again, we realize that we have to involve the local communities at the grassroots. We establish what we call village security committees. We establish district communities as security committees. We engage over 9,747 members at various levels of these committees to help to tackle the insecurity issues affecting our state. Again, were able to synergize between the Community Watch Corps and the conventional securities that we have in the state by providing them allowances to operate. And
reports me the first female copper to serve in a cemetery as a manager. The first female copper to serve in a cemetery as a manager. Now they are the come so when they reject me, they don't want to reject me. I bet who I want to manage, who I want to manage for dear, who I want to manage. I don't who I want to manage the first female copper to serve in a cemetery as a copper.
That's where Nigeria any problem here. That guy talking is the governor of Bokuwari's state. That state currently is Shina Northwest. I mean, what do you call that place? Is the headquarters of some hardened terrorists. That's why you're gonna know that people would normal from leaders to followers, call on Shanu everybody. If some of you are people like, if you have been paying attention, right, there is something, right, about Nigeria and Nigerians that if you are working with data, you realize that everything around there is to stress you for no reason, then possibly help build your own madness that you can't really explain. So they said about 75% of Nigerians have mental health problems, and they don't even know, which makes it a problem. And that's why you will see someone who looks so nice, educated, dresses nice, and all of that. In fact, well educated. And you're like, wow, a complete gentleman. Oh, what a perfect lady. And then they will open their mouth on issues to discuss, and you'll be like, you get that kind of feeling. Thought process here, suit can cover, suits cannot cover it. Here you get, it can't really prevent it, or dressing nice or speaking good English and or having this impeccable, CV and all that stuff will not change it, because Nigeria has a way of indoctrinating us along the line. And somehow, some of us who choose not to be like that, we are called the rebels, by the way. So that's why they say that the leaders are the reflections of the followers. Your leaders are the reflections of the citizens. So if these criminals could make it to the position of authority, that tells you that a sizable number of the population are actually mad. And they don't know. Sure. Do you understand what I mean by that, right? If you are unwell, you go for checkup and you begin to take treatment, but what do you do when you don't even know that you're mad? And then the mad people are looking at those of you who are like the rebels, calling these criminals out as mad. You must be mad for you to be doing all these things you are doing. Here you get. That's the situation. Now let's go to about the studio, right? The controversies that still follows the travesty of law, miscarriage of justice, where in the case of Mazi, Nnamdi Kanu, that got sentenced to life imprisonment without any known law. It is in fact a repealed law. How did that sail through? And the others are trying to point to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's behavior in the courtroom, forgetting the fact that a judge cannot automatically put himself in a case to the point that Omotosho was delivering his judgment, and his tone, every word in his judgment, shown that he made himself a participant as a part of that case, right? With a predetermined end. Now, this is between Akpati and a legal practitioner. So you possibly have seen it on Maiyegun's Diary Political for those who haven't. And if you have seen it before, this is another chance for you to review it. Talking about the treatment of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the political prisoner, the prisoner of conscience. Watch this.
Let's start with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
The view has been expressed by those who know this subject. I was misled by amateur legal advisors who turned a serious legal issue into a circus, and who misadvised him, and who led him to sack people like Kanu Agabi SAN, Ikazu SAN, Paul Erokoro SAN, who are handling the matter. Persons who, from the Court of Appeal in the previous matter, had already provided a template that could have provided a different outcome. And then you have these people, all these social media, Twitter lawyers, misleading him. So, do you agree with that view?
Well,
the situation, what eventually happened in the Court of Justice of Motorshow, could it have been avoided if the matter was handled differently?
Well, I do not know why he debriefed those lawyers. I also do not know why he decided to defend himself. But what is those are now in the realm of history or in the realm of the past. What now bothers many Nigerians was what happened on November 20th, the day he was sentenced, and the day he was convicted and eventually sentenced. Whether Nnamdi Kanu defended himself or not, what to many people is more critical and more important is the attitude of the judge and the justice of the matter. Don't forget that in criminal adjudication, one can only be convicted when there is preponderance of evidence, one, two, and when the prosecution is able to prove the case beyond all reasonable doubt. We are not saying all iota of doubt, but at least all reasonable doubt. And that justice must not only be done, but to be seen, manifestly be seen as having been done. The generality of the public of Nigeria and even the international community do not believe that the justice was done in Nnamdi Kanu's case. Now, the whole issue about Nnamdi Kanu's matter beggars a lot of questions and defeats a lot of logic, because a lot of people, even Nnamdi Kanu himself had continued to say it, even rambunctiously in court, that they should show him the law with which he's being tried. Because by the time many people didn't understand, because all the people who were not privy to the charges and people who were not privy to the goings on in court were at a loss as to why would a man be charged for an offense that is not known to law in a criminal trial. Because a Nigerian statute book says that one cannot be tried for a law of an offense not codified and known to law. Yeah. And then
under the principle of fair
hearing,
sections 35 and 36.
Absolutely. And there is nothing like retrogressive action in law when it comes to criminal action. Yeah. We are not a military regime. Now,
but Nnamdi Kanu was charged under the old law.
Under the old law.
Terrorism.
He was charged under the 2020.
No, not under 2022. Under the older law of
2011. 2013, yeah. Not 2022, 2013. That was repealed.
That's the old law.
The old law that was repealed in 2022.
Yeah, but so, the new law will not take effect.
No, don't forget that that charge under the old law got extinguished in October 2022. But
the law, you yourself just said it,
yes,
cannot have retroactive effect.
We cannot have retroactive effect.
Those are issues they will resolve at the level of appeal.
No. There is one major issue that is even on the open. Okay. Because in the first instance, don't forget that Nnamdi Kanu had earlier been acquitted by the Federal High Court before federal government went to Court of Appeal. And every moment an accused is acquitted, discharged and acquitted, he goes home from the court. He can only go back to the prison or to wherever he was detained to collect his personal items. If he doesn't want, he can abandon them there. If he doesn't want, he can go from there to his house. If he doesn't want, because at the end of the day, the federal government refused to release him. So at that point of that discharge and acquittal in October of 2022, the court became functus officio.
So you can no longer hold on that old law. But by the time you saw the judgment from the Sokoto Just Court, it was referring to the 2013 charge. So that became a very, very strong issue against that judgment and against the entire procedure.
Okay, but where the accused person abusing the presiding judge, and you said, oh, the presiding judge is a problem. What do you expect his lordship to have done in a situation whereby the accused person took over the proceedings of the court and questioned his integrity, questioned his... So what the judge did eventually in the 144-page judgment that I have seen is that he just applied the law. Simply.
Dr. Albert, you may say so, the judge may claim so, but the judge committed what majority of the people describe as a travesty of justice, and I tell you why.
No, he's not a
mob opinion because there are the facts are there. The judge jumped into the arena. The judge even usurped the office of the executive.
How?
I'll tell you why. It does not lie in the purview of the court to decide where a convict will be kept. The very moment you decide, you give it your judgment, you become functus officio. It is the duty of the executive to determine.
Which means that the matter has ended.
Yeah, the matter has ended. It's the duty of the for the judge to say.
What functus officio
yes, for the judge to say he has to be kept in a certain form of confinement. He's jumping into the arena. He's overreaching his office.
Was it the judge that said he must be taken to Sokoto?
The judge said so, and possibly for them to have taken him to Sokoto, they may be obeying again the order of the court, which of course is an illegal order because he has become functus officio. Again, the injustice done against Nnamdi Kanu
was that part of the ratio or part of?
It was part of the angst you mentioned that he insulted the judge.
No, I didn't say.
No, he said that he insulted the judge in the open court, the presiding judge, and I now ask if anybody misconducts himself in the court, is it not contempt?
No, but
contempt in the face of the court.
But that judgment
so it cannot come in any way close to issue of terrorism. If the judge felt he was insulted,
whatever the judge may have said, obita,
the same way
immaterial.
Is good. Another issue that still keeps hanging on is if you look at all the counts, the 7 counts, a lot of them will be talking about his broadcasts. Almost about 5 of the charges talk about his broadcasts, and that is why his lawyer said, "How has Mayor Puffy word of mouth amount to terrorism?" You know that when you are talking about criminal issues, you are talking about the actus reus and the mens rea, the reasons and the action. If
the mind to commit,
and then the act itself, committal of that act. Where is the committal of the act, and where is the mind to commit the act? What he did was he insulted the authorities because he possibly felt that he was not getting what he expected from the system. So these are all the issues that will come on appeal at the end of the day.
Don't let us reopen the case.
Because he's already had his own view. That part where this age group of Abati, it's not just Abati, people of his age group, they are of the generation that believes that you do not insult elders. You do not insult authority. You do not insult religious leaders, no matter what they do. Because if you do insult them, that simply means you lack home training. Even if they are wrong, it is not in your place to disagree with them in that open. You have to do it respectfully. So to them, somebody like Nnamdi Kanu is so rude. They are not listening to his points. Everything is pointing out and is being shut down. Everything is pointing out under the law. In a court of law, you are quoting the laws. The judge who should be attentive to what you're saying, continue to shut you down, ignore your this, and then others are now using your reactions as a means of why the judge got upset. not because you violated any law, because there's no law to convict Nnamdi Kanu. And that's why we'll keep reminding you that no matter what you have read, no matter what you believe, since these prosecutors couldn't actually bring people to say, Nnamdi Kanu sent me this money to get